Hello, and welcome. I'm Katie the Nest, and thank you for joining me for this session. I'm in my New Zealand nest, and this is the end of day 4. So, just as the continuing story, if you're new here, welcome. If you've been watching for a while, I love to take you as my fellow subbies and kin with me when I go to workshops and travel. So today has been day 2 of a 2-day workshop with Fleur Woods. So if I sound like I'm saying it a lot of times, here in Wellington, New Zealand, with Zoe and the crew, and tomorrow is my workshop day. So I'm beyond excited because yesterday we had a day off, which was sort of a rest day, but it became a shopping day for many of us, which is sort of exhausting when you are in a new place. But we got lots and lots of treasures, beyond excited about those. But today, when we arrived back into the workshop room, it was all about breathing and going, wow, we have the whole day to stitch. So I'm literally just back. The workshop finished at 3. We started at 9, and then Fleur graciously stayed on. So we've literally been stitching around the table with Fleur, and we're home now. We're going out for a group dinner. Fleur is flying home, but not before we all said goodbye and expressed great gratitude. So what am I going to share today? Well, it's been, as always, a wonderful day, but the story is that the other day, whenever I did it, I shared some shopping, and part of what I did was buy this book, and part of the way through the workshop, Fleur said, oh, I'm going to demonstrate a flower for anyone who wants to learn how to stitch up, flowers. And she was waiting for us to come up, and coincidentally I said, well, when you've taught everybody else, I've got this particular pansy book, and I would love to learn how to stitch a pansy with you. Do you like pansies, Fleur? And she said she loves them as a flower. So cut to the chase. She showed us how to stitch a beautiful flower, and it was a pansy. I've got photos of that. I have not recreated that particular flower yet, but I have learned so much today. So we are going to get into what I've done today, and of course, as you know, this is the horsewhip that's now filled with some beautiful pins that we used with Fleur, and it's going to stay there and be very useful as I stitch. Okay, I have started a project based on my time here. I keep saying it, and I know you will relate. Like, I love recording. So I've got a sniffly nose. I love recording the time and place. So I have made what I'm calling a Fleur book. So yesterday was Fleur Day 1. This is Fleur Day 2. Fleur gave us this fabric and this beautiful fine blanket, and I made the decision to make a textile book. Now, I know many people are making textile journals and books at the moment, and I chose this medium because I could include some blanket that has been gifted to me. I shared that the other day by Maureen from New Zealand. And so these bits are the back and the second back page. But what I've just been putting ideas down on the front and the back, but I thought I would show you what I've done so far. So the idea is, this is a very delicate, one of Fleur's favorite fabrics, and I am going to, I don't know whether you can see that clear enough. You can see I'm sticking to my green and pinkish theme on the cover in honor of Fleur, but don't you worry, there are other bits of color coming through. So this is Fleur. This is the frill from Society of Wanderers, and these, I think I showed you that I have been harvesting from a napkin. Here it is. I've used this on my Tote of Hope, and I am pulling these flowers out to they're beautiful flax European linen. That's the story, my favorite store, in fact all our favorite store across the street, called the Small Acorn, is where I got them. So this cover, I've got that and that, which is others' discovery of the trip in terms of new textiles. As I said, this is the very, very fine wool that Fleur gifted us as well, included as part of our pack, and it is very beautiful weave. So this cover is quite thin in that there's that blanket and straight with the Fleur fabric. So I've stitched that on to a spine, which will be covered with I don't know what yet, but as I said, I'm sharing a work in progress. Page 1 here is a piece of scrap Indian quilt top that I brought over with me, and this is a flower that was part of our kit, and I've just done at this point a simple applique onto that. Lots and lots more work to be done, but my style is such that I just follow, and if I have an idea I put it down and then come back to it. My main work has been on this page, and I say this is Garden 1, and this is the page that we're going to come back to, and I'll tell some stories. So this is where I spent time today, and I'll talk to you about that in brief. Garden 2 is here, and I literally pieced this morning to get myself into the flow, and I'll tell you about these fabrics in a minute. So this has not been stitched at all. It's still got a pin in here and a little bit of invisible work. So really this is the step before this. And then I am at this spread here, which it has nothing on it at all. The blanket I got from Maureen, the New Zealand blanket, is much thicker than the one Fleur provided, and you can see I mentioned this, it's been obviously washed and dried and gone crunkled. With my style of work, that can just be covered over and you won't see. I'm loving this very delicate pale green, and all we have on the back is a bit of this vintage trim that I bought from Zoe. So that's where I'm up to. I have a nest of my threads here that are ready for my workshop tomorrow. I have another nest of working threads that I had down with me today, and I suppose to complete the story, I invested in another one of Fleur's wools this afternoon. I don't think you've seen me with violet, but due to the pansy theme, I needed a dark inner, so I've added that to a piece of work. So that's the context of where I'm up to, and I'll come back to this page. I've got some vintage lace over here that I dyed in my motel room. That I don't know where that will go, but that's talking to me. Okay, in terms of shopping and things I've added to my kit since I've been here, I shared this. I'm going to cast shadow my nest. I hope not. I'll sit down now. Can you tell how excited I am? Oh, hello everyone, and I hope you are well. See, I'm on such a high, and as I was talking to the ladies today, um, some of whom haven't been on this sort of experience before, and it is obviously a privilege to go. Many had been, yeah, anyway, I won't go into their stories, but it is the joy and the energy that you catch from others around the room. And as Fleur said, we all start out with the same kit, but our work is so completely different. And I think a number of us have started posting on Instagram. So if you want to have a look at that, you can Google Fleur Woods art, and I'm sure she will be posting those. Okay, so what have I added that I've used here that you will not have seen? The main thing is 2 pieces of fabric that I got on sale at a shop in Cuba Street. If you ever get to go to Wellington or New Zealand, they are absolutely gifted in thrifting, and the culture is such that you can't count how many shops there are in a row. So I went into, this is a shop that sells mainly new things. In fact, it's where I got I haven't got it with me on this trip, my ring last year, but they had on special on the floor. Now that's a hint we learned from thrifting, always to look at the baskets on the floor. On special was this vintage kimono that had been stitched into a scarf. So it is the most beautiful fabric, but it was on sale. And all I do now in thinking in my head is that's a way I can get a remnant of fabric that I would never normally get in my ordinary life. And so I didn't buy it as a scarf, I bought it as fabric. So this morning when I woke up, I just snipped off the top and undid the joining seam, and suddenly I have this fabric, which is quite long, for harvesting. So all these different flowers, and you will see that already I'm using them in this piece. So this is part of the story. From the same store, there was another larger scarf which I've already harvested. Now these are not usually my colors, but I can see around the room at the workshop there are many other people's colors, so I will be sharing this tomorrow at my workshop. And that's what I do. I'm an eclectic, and I see the opportunity. So what I loved about this is I think it's Indian fabric. It is the lightest, beautiful, pure cotton. You can actually see through it, but it's in this patchwork design, which, you know, you're probably wanting to say, well, Kate, when it's not your colors, why did you buy it? I loved the intersection of the orange, yellow, and green. I'm not yet into using this, but again, the opportunity of all this fabric, it would be way over a meter, probably maybe 2 meters long, as just as a source of fabric. And I probably couldn't go into any store here and be able to buy this on a roll. So that's the main piece that's left. I've chopped, I've got all these little pieces, and as I said, that will become something for those who might like to use aqua or blue or purple or this deeper green in their storytelling pouch tomorrow that they're doing with me. So how have I used these immediately in this piece? In garden number 2, it's virtually all of those 2 bits as the main stars at this point. Please remember, it will not stay like this. I bought this green piece that I got last year when I was in Melbourne for the workshops with me. I've got a little bit of pink that you've seen in many of my pouches. And then I've used the big patches from that scarf underneath there, and down the side here there's a little bit of the aqua showing. It may be that I tuck that under and put something else over a tab, and that's becomes the continuing story. Not sure, but we will see. And then this is the vintage kimono that I've made this big flower as a hero. I've left some little ones on. I've brought some vintage applique with me to be using tomorrow, and I put one of those on this work. It's in the autumn tones. And again, what I like to do is I don't know my colors in advance, and I don't know what people will want to use tomorrow, but just by feeling and seeing, that's ended up on there. Please note that this time I left that long branch of flowers, but already now, after a day of stitching, I can see that I don't need that to lead down to there. So I'm just going to harvest that, and I will use it somewhere else. Okay, and that already feels better to me. There's the garden, there's the flower. That yellow is perfectly fine. Now I hope you can see this. I suddenly thought I'm holding it up a lot, but I just have to trust the camera. Okay, let's go to here. I'm going to give you an up close first of all, and then we'll talk about the various bits that I've done, and I'll actually do some stitching instead of chatting. Well, I'll chat at the same time. So make sure we've got some light. It's late afternoon, but still sunshine. Okay, so how did I make this garden? I don't think I showed you this the other day. Fleur provided this flower here. Mary Walker bought this piece of bark cloth to share. You can't recognize the flower that I've used. Here is the Society of Gatherers piece with 2 large flowers. Here's a vintage piece that I'm using on another of my large pieces. I bought that scrap over, and here's the patchwork, so that I've got the story going from here over to here. Not necessarily the same colorway. You can see that this is much more pink already, and up here is a beautiful part of a flower that came as part of Fleur's kit. The biggest breakthrough, well, I've had 2 huge breakthroughs today, and the first one is that when Fleur made her violet, she used ribbon. Now, again, many of you may be going, aha, we love using ribbon. I have never thought of using ribbon, mainly because I've associated it with shine and beautiful, is it grub work? I don't know what it's called, but traditional embroidery that I can't do. But Fleur showed us that this will go through the needle and be used just exactly the same way as I use wool. So up here, I have started to outline the middle side with the, what's that called in the middle? You will know where the pollen is. And then these bits going out. And because I didn't want to keep going out, I've actually started to use this as the binding onto the next part of the garden. So seeing I said that it was easy to thread, I mean, will you believe this? I mean, I find ribbon, now she says that, sorry everyone, maybe I'll cut it. When I was scared to do my first bit of ribbon, and it went straight through this needle, and I thought, oh, okay, there's nothing stopping you from using ribbon. It's actually easier than beading. So this is your chance to talk amongst yourself. Okay, there it is. So, as I said, Fleur said, just forget that it's ribbon and just think it's a big thread. So let's just, I didn't mean to stab the ribbon there, but let's just finish this off. I'm using it probably in a way that you would not expect, but I'm just enjoying it. Have I got a knot there? So next on my list is I've got to get some ribbon. Kristen tells me there's some available at our local thread shop, so I want to go and get some of that. Lorraine, who's on our course, has done, is it Lorraine? I think it was Lorraine's work. She has used a beautiful orange colour, variegated, so I'd like to try some of that. All right, so I've also used, would you believe, I turned this this flower, which one is it? It's one of these big ones, like that, into a sort of pansy. It's not a pansy, but I watched Fleur. I put some lines on there to divide the petals, and I'll talk more about pansies when I do the Toad of Hope. But you know, Fleur encouraged us to observe the middle, what shape is it? Then she did her whole violet in this beautiful pansy, in this beautiful ribbon, and then interweaved some DMC with it. On the other hand, I thought I need, if I'm trying to turn this into a pansy, I need a deeper color that I didn't have in my palette. So that's why I went over and purchased that wool at the end. So that's my ribbon story. The other thing that Fleur had on her pieces, and if you've got her book, you will have seen it. She said, I took this flower over and I said, you know, what would you suggest? And she said, well, do you want to color it in? Really, she put it back onto me, and I said, I want it to stand out. It's a large flower, but I don't want to thread paint all of those bits. By the way, this is the right side of the fabric and this is the wrong side. So I turned the flower upside down more for that creamy color. And she encouraged me to have a try at couching, which is something that she had shown people earlier in the day. So this is my first attempt at couching using wool. I hadn't thought of using my own wool, and this is as far as I've got. So it's a little bit of a mess at the moment because I've packed up in a hurry, but I have been enjoying experimenting with couching today. So that's sort of a summary of where I've spent most of my time, as well as talking. So I'm going to leave that there, threaded up. One of the deterrents of me couching was that I had seen people demonstrate with 2 needles, but now I get that you just have a needle to come up and down in the right place. We'll save that for another day because I'm tired and I don't want to show you how to do something wrong. I've made a bit of a mess of this beautiful flower and I feel like lightening up. So that's what I feel like doing, is putting some color into this. It's quite a dark center and these leaves are a little bit darker than I would normally use. So I'm looking around and thinking, well, Kate, now that you've said that, what would you like to use? This is one of my wools that is pink and orange variegated. And I think I might try that because it will blend it. So of course the learning is, for me on my journey is, and I've been sharing it with everyone because I didn't realize it for a long, long time, that you can get a flower from any fabric or from an embroidery, and if the colors don't match, you can change it with your thread. Now that's as obvious as anything to people who have been stitching for a while. But when you are new to slow stitching, as I was a little while ago, I would not buy fabric, or I would not buy a doily because it wasn't in the right colors. And again, as things get scarcer and scarcer, so I'm thinking that I'm going to use, I'm not doing a knot, I'm going to go over and over. I'm going to use this in close to this yellow. Nothing fancy, I'm just going round and round because I'm sort of not thinking very much about the flower itself. I'm just thinking about adding some colour in, because we're going to layer and layer and layer this flower. And hopefully your eyes can flit around and be looking at other things that I've done on this garden in progress. So yeah, this dark blacky colour does not particularly, I mean, it's very natural, and it's just that I would like to add a little bit more light into it and probably make it a little bit more of a round. I tell you, what is that middle part of the flower called? It's me having too good a time chatting all day with stitchy friends. So there we are. I'm hearing some rumbling out there. I don't know whether it's thunder coming, whether it's rain, or there is a big music festival on. So it could be that that's starting already. As I said, we're going out to dinner, 6 o'clock, and then walking through the beautiful city, and then it'll be back for me to do some more prep and some stitching. So there were lots of hugs as we said goodbye to Fleur. By the way, can I just change and say that I started doing a triangle to turn this flower into a pansy. It's not going to work, so I'm actually going to go over the top of that yellow and make this the center of my flower. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we were saying goodbye to Fleur. She's about to go to France in March to teach for the first time. So how amazing is that she's been here with us, and yeah, in a matter of a couple of weeks, I think it is, she'll be in France, and then she'll be back with us at the Green Door in May. So thrilled for her. So there we are. I think I'm turning it into a zinnia. And then that's talking to that. What else could we look at? This is a cross stitch flower. Oh, Kristen made the most amazing, I hope she instas it, a cross stitch blue bird today on her Fleur piece. It is exquisite. I'm just looking here. This is me getting confident. My iron is downstairs, but I could get rid of this. I'm starting to realize, Fleur says you must have a sense of where you're going, and what I know, like in terms of a petal shape, and I know one of my areas of growth is I need to do that more, because I'm trying to just follow this fabric, and there's lots of different places, and she says simplify. Simplify it. So I don't know how to make that even better, but like there's a bit of a petal there, a bit of a petal there. So let's add in, I'll add some colour there, but I'm thinking about this beautiful purple from Fleur. Can I add it somewhere else to link? I mean, could I do some French knots in it? It's not very, that's not really realistic, is it, to have purple French knots in the middle of a yellow flower. So, but I do love using that. Where could we use it? No. See, that's me. Just, maybe I can, let's just do it, everyone. If we don't like it, just go over the top. So I say it every time, but it is genuine. Like, I'm wondering what you're working on. And I hope you are making progress. Or if you're stuck, leave it for a while and come back to it. Sort of decided to come in here and now bangle of the day is, you will know how much I love bangles. In the same store that I got this from yesterday afternoon, late, there was this bangle on the counter. So it's a mixture of, how many cultures could it be? Beautiful beads, cowrie shells, and like the little Indian tassels. So that's what I've got on there. Oh, I'll just hit you, everyone. Sorry about that. Just check that you can see what I'm doing. I'm sorry if it's on one side. Yeah, I could come over here, couldn't I? A little bit more. Yeah, I can hear it's the music festival. All right, so I've got that flower sort of with a middle. So why don't we go up here and add some of the same color, but doing a different. I've got to do some French knots, don't I? Because I've got a long needle and plenty of wool. 3 rounds around. 1, 2, 3, and you go back into the same hole. I know how many of you tell me you love French knots, and they are such a wonderfully versatile stitch, and especially when this wool is variegated. So we're adding texture and tying in this purple, so there's like 3 flowers that are using it in all different ways. Now, did I plan to do that? No, I didn't. But that's the confidence I've had just today by using this wool already once and thinking that will work wherever I use it. So let's go. Finish with that. And now I feel that we need to have some of it on this side. Maybe I need to celebrate couching. But this is probably not long enough. Oh goodness, I'm sorry if that's getting quite loud for you in the background. I haven't knotted that, but let's go up there. Come back down on top and over. And what we know is that no stitch and no thread is wasted. So I'm just going for a little running stitch meander with this lovely colour. I say thank you for being here. I was quite tired when I started this, and I thought, look, I've got a window of time, and you've been sending lovely messages about appreciating the time. So, but it really is, it works both ways. Like when I film when I'm away, because I just feel energized and I've got company, because I didn't really want to stop stitching and do other things. Like decide what I'm going to wear to dinner. There we are. So it's just a little hint of that violet colour. Yeah, I need to finish that off. Please do not copy me there. But because the thread ran out, I've just left it. Now, if you're curious about couching, please look at other people who do this way better. But basically, you layer the wool around, and then you use the other thread to tack it down. And you can use a colour that is the same, or a contrast colour, or whatever you like. So that will happen, but you probably don't need to see that in this video. I've showed you that. This, I'm thinking of using a doily on that one. This one, not sure what we'll add to, and this, I need to do some drawing on there to outline the flowers that I will stitch, and I need to layer this. So you know what? Oh, especially because it's saying that the battery is nearly flat. Oh my gosh, I've been chatting for a long time. Okay, my friends, that's going to be it. An abrupt finish because time flies when you're having fun, but that is, I hope it's more of a fleur garden than my usual garden, because I can see the difference in it, and I can see the inspiration of other fabrics, and yeah, I'm really enjoying learning. So I'll keep doing this, and I hope you have a great evening. I will be back at some stage soon to share more. Okay, bye for now. Thank you.